Welcome to the RPG Podcast.
And we are live.
Oh, God, Patton!
Presented by SHEATH. A Time Wheel production.
Welcome, everyone, to another edition of the Robert Patton Global Podcast. Thank you so much for coming back. We are here with Dr. Har Hari. Once again, he came on a couple years ago, changed my life. Thank you so much for coming back on again.
You're welcome.
Yeah, like what you changed my life in a couple of ways with the, you further instructed me on the Wim Hof breathing technique with the squeeze on the inhale at the end.
Yeah.
That just like sends.
That's the DMT release.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I love it. It's weird. I'm kind of like addicted to it or something. I feel like maybe drug addicts should start doing this because.
Yeah. Well, actually, you know what? One of my best friends, he was a former addict. And that's exactly what he said. He said all recovery programs should have the whole thing with the ice and the breathing.
Yes. And I've been doing cold plunges also. And, it's not all thanks to you, but I think you definitely inspired me with that, doing 60 minutes for your 60th birthday.
Yeah.
And, and so I do like 5-10 minutes here and there. I got a cold plunge outside, a tub that I bought. I think you put horse feed in it or something, but I use it to put water in, and it's not that cold, but it's like 60 degrees, but it's still cold for me.
Yeah, but you still get benefit. I even heard on this one podcast, you could even be in 80-degree water, and if you're in that water long enough for like several hours, you'll go into hypothermia because it's below the temperature of your body.
Exactly. I felt like I was getting some benefit, and I live up here in the mountains of Woodland Park, Colorado, 8,500 feet.
Oh, I'm sure it gets cold in the winter there.
Exactly. So as it starts cooling off, I'm going to just let the temperature of the water ride and slowly acclimate myself. It's going to turn into a block of ice probably, so I won't be able to do it throughout the winter. But I want to, as it gets colder and colder, I want to, just keep getting in there until I don't get in there anymore. Did you do another cold, like 61 minutes for your 64?
I didn't do that yet. I think, you know what I'm going to do? This is on my bucket list. I want to go do it with Wim Hof.
Yes.
And record it. Actually, me and him together and looking at each other, just doing it tantric style. That's the next level.
Like looking into his eyes.
Yeah, just look in his eyes and just go through it. Because that last, 20 minutes, at least for me, you go in complete psychedelic realms. You're out of your body, after 40 minutes.
Yeah, it's hard. I'm doing like 10 minutes in 60 degrees. And I'll just start shivering a little bit,
Yeah.
Teeth chattering. So that's where I'm at, but it's definitely benefiting me in so many ways, one of which I can run which I couldn't run for the longest time because I have this inflammation in my Achilles for years, and the cold water is doing something.
Oh, so. Yeah. It's the ultimate healer as far as I'm concerned. Like I don't know if I remember if I told you the story of how I got into this, but I had a badly injured hip. I fell off my bike at the boardwalk down in Venice, and I hit the cement from like 3.5 feet up directly on the hip. Pretty sure I fractured it, but I didn't want to go to the hospital. But I literally could not walk the next day, and for the next 2.5 years, I was in constant pain.
Yeah.
And when I found Wim Hof and started doing the method, it actually cured it. It cured it.
See, and that's what's kind of happening to me. So it's so beneficial. It really should be more like on mainstream media, telling the people and this is like a conspiracy or whatever, but I think that the breathing technique could cure the virus, you know what I mean? Like the coronavirus.
Well, I think that certainly, when this virus really started back in February, I got, it prompted me to get way more serious about my practice. I actually literally did 12 rounds of breathing a day, which is about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour every day. I don't do that now, but for a good 3 solid months, that was my practice.
Yeah, I could imagine. Yeah. Did you ever contract that virus? Is that?
I might have. I had it. I got sick. They said it came to California actually in the fall, like maybe even in the late summer of 2019. And I got really sick in November, and I was sick for 3 weeks, and I couldn't figure out why I wasn't getting better. And because normally I'll get the cold or flu and I'm better in 1 day. And this was not going away. And I was like, I got to do something. I can't just be like this all the time. And so I finally went and got like tons of herbs and vitamins. And, I kicked it in like 2 days once I actually did something to kick it.
Yeah. Maybe the intention behind going and getting those herbs. And because I don't know what's going on. Like nobody knows. There's all this misinformation out there, and I'm just I do my Wim Hof breathing every day, and it's just really helping me out.
I think it's certainly one of the I would say it's a foundational part of immune protection if you're serious about your health.
Seriously. Yeah. And okay. So I agree. If you're not doing, something to better your health, and you're just going to take prescribed medications or whatever instead, I think that's not the answer. Maybe in conjunction with, but definitely.
Yeah. I mean, you can do whatever else you want, but the breathing, the fact of the matter is in the studies they did in Amsterdam, they showed, like a doubling almost of the immune function and a lowering of inflammation. And the thing that really gets people with this virus is the inflammation. It's like the inflammation is what's killing people. So if you know how to literally bring your inflammation levels down, you can do a lot of your own healing. That's
what I think. And I live up in the mountains. I live in a very isolated community, relatively speaking, and so I don't get out much. And so I don't know if I got it or have had it, but I'm doing good right now, and I'm just gonna kind of stay the course and try to boost my immune system and stay healthy. And
it's all about, I'm really convinced like the things that we do on a daily basis, our diet, our thoughts, our exercise patterns, our, how we interact with people or relationships, all that stuff was important before this virus. Now it's critical.
So much more. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like the shit has hit the fan, and people really need to wake up right now. This is really, it's like we're in a World War III, the way I'm seeing it here. Yeah.
Trippy. Yeah, like a war against an invisible enemy, and the battle is to take care of yourself. Don't eat probably McDonald's all the time. And
now you really, I think now it's the time to take extraordinary measures for not just your physical health, but your spiritual health as well. I've tuned into some very profound, I would say, spiritual thought leaders since we've talked last. That have really inspired me greatly. I would highly recommend you check a couple of these guys out.
Can you share any of those insights?
Well, the first guy I'll mention, his name is Shunya Murti. He has an ashram in Costa Rica, and he was a disciple of Ram Dass, Sri Ramana, who was a great saint in India. I think he lived in his ashram in India for like 20 years. But you can actually find him on YouTube under Sat Yoga Institute, and he's got like literally hundreds of hours of satsang where he's basically instilling all this spiritual knowledge, but it's at the highest level I've ever seen. And I've studied yoga with Yogi Bhajan. You know, I was with him for 26 years. This guy is on that level. It is profound what he's teaching. People really need to hear what he has to say. It's a profound message.
We'll definitely put those in the show notes. I got my team.
I mean, I love that guy, because what he's saying is right now we're in the period of going from the Kali Yuga to a Sat Yuga. Sat Yuga is like a golden age where, you know, the earth literally lights up and everything on the earth becomes enlightened. Yeah, but for that to happen, all this negative energy needs to go, you know, and that's kind of what's happening. It's like a purification, and it's you know, it's no joke what's going on right now.
Yeah, I don't understand like if it was accidental, if it was on purpose, and like if it's, you know, the universe is acting in a way to rearrange itself to make us all, you know, be prepared for this enlightenment, shedding the negativity. It doesn't seem like it's shed at the moment still, because we're all fighting about the vaccine.
Yeah, well, you know, that's the thing. It's like if you, I think what's happening is there's a splitting between the let's say the 3D matrix world that most of us live in, and then the 5D world where we're in a spiritual place, right? And I mean, what this Shunya Murti is teaching is how to go to that place, how to go. It's literally like egolessness. You go out of your ego. You still have your physical body, but you're not attached to the physical. So even if your physical body goes away, your consciousness is still there, and it's eternal. So that's the thing. Like, people understand. You know, I heard this amazing story about General Patton from World War II. So check this out. General Patton knew that his soldiers could not die, even if they were killed. I never knew this. So that's how they were able to win the war, because they didn't have fear. No fear. He went in D-Day. They beat the Germans. The Germans didn't have that. They had fear of death. He knew, because he was the leader, he was like, we're going for it, right? And so his projection actually took a whole army and took it beyond fear. And that's why they won.
I love that.
And the Germans knew this about Patton, and they were scared of him. He was the only general that the Germans feared.
I like that, because we have the same last name. I'm sure you might have known that.
Well, there you go. There's no coincidence here, you know?
I like that. Yeah, the fearlessness. It does allow you to, you know, to overcome, because you have no other choice. I mean, well, I guess, anyways, you're not scared though. That definitely overcomes an obstacle, the main obstacle, the fear of death, you know. So if you have nothing to lose and everything to gain, you have an advantage over your...
Yeah, because you can't, I mean, he just understood that, you know, life, there's reincarnation. These soldiers are coming back. And probably, as a matter of fact, there's a lot of them around right now who are going to help blast us through to the next level.
I am curious of, you know, I'm very spiritually interested, and I meditate every day, and I lose my ego for like 10 seconds during those DMT
flashes.
Yeah, and you know, and I forget who I am, where I am, what I am, and I do believe that consciousness can live outside the body, but you know, we're here now, and it's like we're bound by this ego, and my ego, it recently has been attached to this company, to the success, to maybe this podcast a little bit, and when stuff starts turning south, like not doing as well as it was, it's like, oh, who am I? And what, like, I'm not successful anymore. And I am. We're going through like a little bit of a crisis with the company, with all these logistics bottlenecking. Like, we have cargo in China and LA and in the air somewhere, and we're not getting any of it, and we're not getting updates, and it's
that's the nature of the times. You know, according to Shunya Murti, the whole thing is coming down. The whole thing, it's coming down. So just prepare yourself.
Yeah.
It's not you. It is not you. It has nothing to do with you at all. So don't feel bad about yourself.
No, that's cool. I'm good with that because I feel like I'm more more ready for something like that, and because I've sort of been preparing with different like foods and maybe weapons and being up here in the mountains. Like if shit goes down, there's like millions of deer just all around these mountains. We'll be eating deer for the next.
You know what the Hopi. I've been around the Hopi Indians for 40. I think it's about 42 years. I started going to New Mexico, where the Hopi Indians have a prophecy. I don't know if you know about the prophecy of the Hopi.
No, please tell me.
Okay, so the Hopi Indians, they've been around that area, southern Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona, Four Corners area, right?
Yeah.
They've occupied that land for thousands of years, okay? Thousands of years. And that includes the tribes that go down into Mexico, like the Mayan, and really the Mayan were part of that, okay? So in their prophecy, that area, Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona, the Four Corners region, is a safe zone when the earth changes happen, okay? Because it's in the middle of the continent, it's a high elevation. Like you said, you've got food source, you've got water, you're isolated from a lot of the chaos that's coming. So yeah, I actually would like to have a place out there myself in Colorado.
And I remember coming up here in 2012 because of the Mayan end of the world prophecy, and I was like, I'm just gonna be up there just in case some polar shift happens and the oceans, the whatever, start splashing everywhere.
I used to have a T-shirt back in the 80s that said it was a Rocky Mountain beach. It was like the beach was at the edge of the Rocky Mountains.
That could happen, and that's part of why I'm here. I want to survive. I want to live for 1,000 years, but if I knew, I feel like I know pretty sure that there's life after this life. Consciousness will live on because of some experiences I've had with psychedelics or whatever. And just there's evidence with people have near-death experiences, like there's stories, at least there's hope. And but I would like to stay here for a while, and I would learn a bunch of new languages and learn to play instruments and stuff. There's so much to learn and experience.
Totally. I'm with
you. Do you do any like, I was curious, do you do any instruments or other languages or anything else?
I mean, I've been studying the Sikh languages for 40 years, the Sikh prayers, and I'd like to learn Spanish and, other languages as well. I mean, I'm around a lot of Spanish-speaking people in LA. It's like, it's really more like Mexico down here.
I know. Yeah. And I've been learning Spanish, and I kind of have a semi like foundational grasp of it through my grandma and high school and stuff. But so it works. I feel like we have these different sectors of our brains, and so if you learn a new language, you're working on one. If you learn an instrument, you're working on another one. I've been doing pottery. I went back to college, taking clay ceramics. And that's a pretty meditative thing with that.
Oh yeah, anything you do with art is fantastic. If you ever watch, Wim Hof is an amazing artist.
No,
he's a painter and a musician, and that's his real passion. Is all that stuff.
Well, I know he plays the guitar. I didn't know he painted. That's
oh my God, you should see some of his painting, because he spends a lot of time in Africa. So he's got these amazing paintings of Mount Kilimanjaro and. With African tones, and it's just, he's very gifted artist.
Not to stay on him too long, but how do you think he ran a marathon in the Mojave Desert or something, and on top of Mount Everest?
Yeah.
Like is he doing his breathing technique during that? I mean, Well, I think, what he did is, okay, so you got to realize this guy's been working on what he does for 40 years. Okay.
40 years. So he's built up his I would say like his nervous system, glandular system, mitochondria, where he could withstand almost anything.
This episode is brought to you in part by Element Kombucha. It's a new sponsor. We're very excited. They sent me a care package and I drank them all. I can't even show you. I could show you this empty bottle right here, but it's Element Kombucha. They have CBD infusions, THC free, really tasty blends. You know, kombucha is good for the gut bio. So if you have been taking antibiotics, it's always good to take some probiotics. And Element Kombucha is sponsoring this show. They're supporting us. So we're asking you to support them. They actually have really good prices. It's like 10, 15 bucks for a 6 or 8 pack on their different options. They have variety packs, or you can just get the Summer Vibes blend, whatever you want. It's at elementkombucha.com. Promo code RPG11 will save you 11% on your purchase, and they'll know that we sent you, and we would appreciate the support. Last but not least, SHEATHunderwear.com. The greatest underwear on the planet, the underwear of legends, the underwear that keeps your balls from sticking to your legs. That's right. This is the best underwear because it keeps your boys cool. Check out sheathunderwear.com. Back to the show.
You know, I'm almost at that level. I wouldn't say quite, because, you know, he can do an hour in the ice and not even bat an eye and not flinch. So you have no idea what that actually is until you try to do an hour. He's on another level, like a whole other level.
Yeah, that's like a big exercise in patience. I mean,
well, it's just in control. Your physiology has to be adapted. Like, it doesn't matter how much patience you have. If your body can't handle the force of the cold, it's going to be rough.
Are you still doing that every morning?
Yeah, I pretty much do every 5 minutes. Sometimes I'll do a little more, but because I work, 5 minutes is about the optimal time to get my body so I can come to work and then not freeze to death while I'm in adjusting patients.
Yeah. So my morning routine is kind of like I get out of bed, I get my coffee, I get a pretty big jug of water, I sit down, I meditate and do Wim Hof, and I finish my coffee and water basically before I get up, and then if I go and run, I'll get in the ice afterwards, and maybe even if I don't run, I did it yesterday and I didn't run before because something was like calling me to it, but it's like this love-hate with the ice, you know. And do you go through that every morning? Like, I don't.
No, actually, my body's gotten to a point where there's really not a whole lot of difference between my normal just sitting in this room and being in the ice. It's like, it's almost, I'm not going to say 100% imperceptible, but my physiology doesn't react. I only react, like, say, after 15 minutes, or more, because I've been doing it now for 5 years, almost daily.
And what do you have do you just use a cold shower? Do you have a plunge?
I actually have a freezer. I have one of those chest freezers that opens like this.
Yeah.
And I fill it up like 3/4 filled with water, and I just turn that freezer on and it freezes the water.
Oh.
So there's big, like, it's got about this thick of ice in it all the way around. So it's 32-degree water.
Whoa.
It's cold water.
Oh my God, that's bananas.
Yeah. Well, it's the most efficient way because I don't want to deal with ice, pouring ice in a thing all the time, So.
Exactly. Yeah, my wife she's like, why don't you just fill up the tub? Because I'm like, because then I got to fill up the tub. I at least want to have an existing standing pool of water that I can use like for a week or two. And then
I clean it like every 2 weeks. I'll drain it and put new water in and then refreeze it.
Interesting. Yeah. I would love to get I was going to say get the style of freezer you're talking about.
Well, you get, the one I recommend is if you can get it, if you have a Best Buy, the Best Buy brand is called Insignia.
Okay.
That one is the best one I found, and it's only like maybe $400 for a 14 cubic foot, which is, for anybody under 6'3", 14 cubic foot's fine. But if you're taller than 6'3", you probably need a 16 cubic foot or 18.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's when I get to that next level.
Yeah.
Put it inside, and because you want to have it ready, because if there's any barrier, it's like, I don't want to have to fill up the tub and put ice in it. I'm just not going to do it. Yeah,
I have mine in the garage, so I just go in my garage and jump in it.
How about the sauna?
I have the sauna in the house that I go in. I do my sauna. I don't do the sauna every day, but if I have time, I'll go in the sauna. But the one thing I do, which I'm really loving, is this X3 bar. Do you know what that is? Have you heard of it? It's basically a bar, like a really heavy duty weight bar connected with latex straps that go underneath a plate. And then you do 4 exercises. You do 4 pull exercises and then 4 push exercises, alternating days, right? And you use different varying thicknesses of the strap to replicate weight. Right. And it's because it's latex, it's variable weight. So basically, it's all based on the science of muscle contraction. And basically, you only have to do like 4 exercises, each exercise up till failure, basically up to 40 reps. And you literally, it makes your arms, I don't know if you can see my arm, but nice. I mean, I've gotten like guns from doing this. And it's awesome to do after you get out of the ice water. Because you just want to do something like intense to like heat your body up. It's like, oh!
Yeah, that's how I am right after I get out of the water. I'm just like, ah.
Yeah, if you hit the weights right afterwards, it's wonderful. Okay. Then you feel pumped all day long.
It's called X Bar?
X3 Bar. And it's by this guy named John Joquish, he's a doctor of exercise physiology, really amazing guy. He wrote a book called, I think it's like Weightlifting and Cardio is a Waste of Time. That's the name of the book.
Nice.
And it's based on all this research of how they discovered this X3 system.
That's beautiful, because you want the most efficient use of your time. And
yeah, it's a biohack. It's like going to the gym for an hour, but I do it in 10 minutes. I got a whole gym workout in 10 minutes. Beautiful. It's wonderful. I got my wife into it. She's loving it. She's seen me do it now for almost a year. Oh, you got it. There it is. That's John. That's the guy right there. That's him. Awesome. Look how ripped he is, dude. That's only from doing that system.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm getting it. My wife's going to get mad at me because she's like, you buy everything you see online. But
trust me, she's going to start doing it and love you. My wife has just fallen in love with that system.
Okay.
It's amazing.
I'm going to get that today because, I have all these weights and I have a lot of stuff to work out and all these different little contraptions. But
once you have that system, you'll never go back to anything. It's literally one. It's so easy.
Well,
so nice.
Steered me wrong.
Yeah.
So I'm going to trust you. You'd be a good influencer, probably. Because people trust you.
Yeah. Well, I do generally I like to experiment on myself first and experience, what it does. And then it took me about a year to get into that system because somebody lent me one and I didn't really understand it. I hadn't studied it. I was just kind of playing with it, but I was always intrigued. And then I'm like, it went on sale because they go on sale about twice a year because they do like a Thanksgiving. They just were on sale. They might be on sale right now. I'm not sure.
Oh yeah, there's like a Labor Day thing going on.
If they are, I would buy it because it normally is $550. If they're selling it for $450, just get it because it's totally worth it. Totally worth it. Yeah.
All right. I like that. I will have to do that. I was curious. Do you teach people stuff or you just work on them?
I teach one-on-one, the Wim Hof method. I'll take them through that process and actually get them into the ice water.
Oh, wow.
And I do groups too, but generally one-on-one, I'll do like when a patient's ready. Like I'll teach them in the office just how to do the breathing, and then get them starting on cold showers. And if they're like at the level where they want to try the ice, then I bring them and we do the ice.
What do you tell someone about like how to prepare themselves mentally for the ice or cold showers?
Well, generally I just tell them, hey, at the end of your hot shower, take a cold shower.
Yeah.
So it's easy, because I found that people don't want to do it if it's hard, you know?
Yeah.
And it's better if you just do something rather than nothing.
That's true.
Yeah, and then and it's really about consistency too. Like one of the things I learned, it was, by the way, remember I told you there was a couple of people who are big influencers for me? There's another one I'm going to tell you about. And I love this guy, okay? His name is Leo. And he's got a YouTube channel called actualize.org, okay? Leo is, I would say, I don't know, I put him on the level of somebody like Aristotle, Plato, Pythagoras. He's a philosopher, but modern day and fully awake spiritually.
Nice.
But anyway, one of his things he says is like, this is like a core teaching of his, it's better to do something every day, a little bit, for years, for decades, because it's like, imagine if you were putting one drop of water into your tank and you just did that every day for a decade, your tank would be full.
Yeah.
So it's the same idea with the, Wim Hof or yoga or psychedelics or anything spiritual that you're doing. If you're doing it consistently every day, you're going to see changes in a decade. It's like an investment.
I feel so. I've been doing Wim Hof for at least a year, pretty much every day, sometimes multiple times a day. And I mean, there's rarely a day that I miss. And I started feeling some different changes in the whole, portion when the trip is like when the DMT is released or whatever. And I start feeling it in like my organs, and I don't know if it's I don't know what's happening, but I'm just assuming that it's good. And
you're changing your physiology. You're up regulating your physiology is what you're doing.
It feels good. When I get that feeling, that burst, I try to hold on to it for, as long as I can. I'll stop the process and and I'm grateful. I'll be like, thank you. Because I like the way I feel. It feels good. Yeah.
Well, it's like, by the way, there's something else that we should talk about.
Please.
Okay. So last November, I try to keep up with all the research that's coming out,
Yeah.
And I don't know if you saw this. It actually made it into the mainstream press. That's how I found out about it. But there was a research study done in Israel where they put people into hyperbaric chambers for 90 days, basically every day for 90 days, right? And what they found is they tested their telomeres before and after, and they showed that the telomeres grew by 25% in 90 days. And these were people who were over 65, okay? So that's like, roughly equates to anti-aging someone 25 years in 90 days. And so I was intrigued, not that you can never say one study is the ultimate study of science, but it piqued my interest enough where I started reading every study I could get my hands on about hyperbaric oxygen. It's basically oxygen under pressure, right? You have to go into a chamber to achieve that. That's the only way to do it. So we eventually ended up getting a chamber for our office, and we've been using it, and it's been incredible.
Okay. They were sleeping in it or just sitting in it?
You just go in it for like an hour or two. You could sleep in it, but most people do like an hour or 2 hours in the chamber.
And could you read or can you?
Yeah, you can do anything. Our chamber, you can watch Netflix. You can do work on a computer. You can do whatever you want. Yeah.
Okay, because there's no increased pressure that you can feel?
Well, you do feel it. Because what happens is when you go in there, the pressure increases. Like it's like you're going underwater. So they call it a dive. So when you get in a chamber and that pressure comes, it's like you're going down in depth in the water. The chamber we have, it's like going down like 13 feet. So it's like you're at the bottom of a swimming pool, right?
Yeah.
But you're breathing pure oxygen. So the key is that pressure and the oxygen, it 7 times is the available oxygen to your tissues. So the thing that hyperbaric does that nothing else does, even Wim Hof, that's why I did this, because there's a limit. It's a scientific limit on how much oxygen your body can absorb through your red blood. Once you get to 100% saturation, which you can do with Wim Hof, by the way, then that's it, 100%, you're limited, right? You get inside of a hyperbaric chamber, that cap just got taken off. Now you go 7 times.
Whoa.
7 times. So that means the oxygen's getting past your red blood into your plasma, into all your tissues. So any part of the body that's injured or impaired gets healed. And then that's the other thing is that what this research shows is if you do 20 consecutive dives, it literally will 8 to 10 times your stem cells. So your issue you're having with your Achilles, if you start doing hyperbaric within 20 to 40 dives, it's like getting a stem cell injection. It'll totally heal.
I might need to buy one of those. Because I did hear a little bit about it. But it's like, what if you live? Well, what if you just live in that thing? I guess. Well,
you don't need to, because the science is. It's basically about doing a consistent diet. If you do it daily over 20 days, then you're getting the stem cell increase. And then if you keep doing it, then your stem cells will stay at that level for as long as you do it daily.
Yeah, you look like really fresh from the beard up.
Yeah, no, it's been amazing. I've probably done it over 100 dives, I'd say, in the last 4 months.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's a new part of my practice is going to the hyperbaric.
Are you trying to fight aging? Because I am.
I'm not fighting. I'm winning.
Hey. I
have a friend who's a martial art teacher, and he teaches this form of martial arts called Bagua. It's an ancient kung fu practice, and he actually gets hired by all these different governments to train their intelligence officers to fight to the death. And when he told me, he said, a lot of martial arts, they teach you how to fight. He goes, I teach people how to kill.
Whoa.
Yeah. But in this sense, it's not about, aging. It's not about, I'm going to try to, no, I'm reversing aging.
It seems like it.
Yeah,
it's
totally.
And I guess secondly, I was going to ask if you have done the Wim Hof in the hyperbaric chamber.
I've done a little bit, but the fact of the matter is you don't need to, because you're 7 times your oxygen. Yeah. Right. You literally just sit in there and you breathe the oxygen. And I've done it, but it doesn't really add anything because you're already maxing out your oxygen levels.
And I've heard for people, once you get on oxygen, 100% oxygen, you have to stay on it. You see those guys walking around with oxygen tanks when they're older.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe it's a misconception, but it's once you get on it, you can't get off it. And if you're breathing 100% oxygen for 2 hours a day, would there be any negative impact?
I don't think so. I mean, our bodies, basically it's like a stimulus.
Okay.
It's like drinking a cup of coffee or doing Wim Hof or getting in cold. It's stimulating a hormetic response, right? Nice. Okay. Like a sauna or whatever. I've heard of guys, as part of my research, that actually did sleep in hyperbarics their whole life, and they were just healthy their whole life. They lived at 100 years old, and they were healthy. And there's no contraindication with the mild hyperbaric, because there's two forms. There's mild hyperbaric, which are ones you can get for your home, and then there's the true hyperbaric, which would be like the higher pressure, and those would be ones you go to a clinic or hospital, do higher pressures. We were looking into getting the higher pressure type first because the Israelis did the research with the high pressure, right? But when I started really doing a deep dive in the literature, started seeing these different studies where they used the lower pressure and still got the same results. And a lot of these clinics that use the high pressure ones, they don't want to admit that lower pressure actually gets the job done. It does. It just takes longer. So let's say it might, in a high pressure chamber, let's say you might do 10 and you get a healing of something. Whereas the soft chamber, you might have to do 15 or 20, but you're still going to get the same result. It might just take longer. That's all. Okay. Yeah.
I know a lot of UFC fighters buy hyperbaric chambers for healing.
Yeah. Most pro athletes, like LeBron James, he uses one daily. I mean, it just rapidly repairs the body.
Well, if LeBron's doing it, then I got to do it. I'm just
yeah.
Because I could be like LeBron. That's what I was getting from. If I get one, I'm basically LeBron. Okay.
Yeah.
Super athlete. I haven't watched basketball too much. I haven't been watching like normal sports. That's a weird segue. We won't get into that. I've mainly just watched fighting, like fighters, and to me, like that's the ultimate sport. And so go straight to the top of the food chain when it comes to sports, and that's what that's the ultimate one. Mind, body, spirit, martial arts. I love it.
Yeah.
And
speaking of athletes, we just recently trained we were involved. We were working with an Olympic athlete who's actually in Tokyo right now. He just got a bronze medal. His name is Jamal Hill. He's a swimmer, and he was not ranked to win at all. He was ranked like down, I think, 7th or 8th in the world in his event, which is 50 and 100 meter freestyle. And this guy had a congenital birth defect called Charcot something, but it's a neuropathy where his legs are deformed, basically. It's like a deformity. So he's in the Paralympics, right?
Okay.
Which are really almost like the Olympics these days. The Paralympics are they're like the Olympics. So they're performed in the same stadiums. It's just, it happens after the main Olympics. So he went out there. We worked on him for 2 months in our clinic doing PEMF, hyperbaric, this therapy called StimPaw that works on the nerves, and he went from 7th to 3rd and got a bronze. So that was a big deal. We were really happy for him.
That is a big deal.
Yeah.
We sponsor a Paralympic athlete. He shoots marksmanship, and those guys in some cases are better than the other Olympic athletes. I mean, it just depends on the guys with the amputees, and they have those biotic leg things, and they run faster than.
Oh yeah, I remember that one day. What do they call that guy from South Africa? They had a name for him. He was the Blade Runner. They called him Blade Runner.
Good one. I wasn't okay. That wasn't. Yeah. So mind, we can overcome so much shit these days. So many obstacles, physical, and ideally. I want to be on the winning side of anti-aging. I do things. I do stuff, but I want like a magic pill or something. Well,
it's always a stack. If you're familiar with do you know the biohacking? Are you familiar with that
I've heard
term?
of it. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, the Biohacking Conference is happening in Orlando on the 17th through the 19th this month.
Oh, wow.
And I think we might be going out to that, because that's where Dave Asprey, Dr. Mercola, all the top holistic biohacking people go to this.
Yeah, I'm thinking of who's that fucking guy? There's a guy, David Sinclair. you heard of him?
Oh, right. Dave Sinclair. Yeah, he's the anti-aging guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think he's at this one, but it's guys like that, you know, and, you know, Dr. Mercola is amazing. I don't know if you follow him at all. He got listed. Okay, check this out. Well, I don't know if you follow the news, but maybe about a month ago, the federal government came out with a list of people. They call it the Dirty Dozen. There was 12 people who were anti-vaxxers. Okay, They were the 12 worst offenders of, you know, promoting anti-vax views. Right. Well, Dr. Mercola was number one.
Oh, nice. Okay, well, you won me over with anti-vaxxer. I'm just kidding.
I mean, no offense. I mean, you know, every one of my kids got vaxxed. I really hope that what they say about the vax is not true, because all three of my kids got vaxxed. My mom, my sister,
vaccinated, my mom, everyone. And fuck.
But you know, there are things that people can do to prevent possible side effects, right? You know, so I got my daughter on. I need to get my other two kids, but my main daughter, who actually lives in Denver, who's a nurse, she did not want to do the vaccine, but they forced her, or she was going to lose her job.
Yeah, I heard.
And so, but she's doing all the proactive things to pull the spike protein out of the body, including zeolite. I don't know if you know what that is. Zeolite is like a chelating mineral. And it can get past, if you get the right type, it can get past the blood-brain barrier and pull out the graphene or whatever crap they put in these things. We have no idea, because the ingredient list is like this. Right? We don't know.
My daughter got the Johnson & Johnson right before they pulled it off the market. I was kind of mad at her, because I was like, just don't get it. You're young. You know what I mean? Like, even if, you know what, this is even more messed up. She had already got the coronavirus. She got it. Yeah. She was fine. She got over it and like nothing. It was like nothing.
Why did she get it?
Because she's going to college, and they made it.
Oh, they required it, right? They
didn't require it, but they strongly advised, and it's, you know, they were scaring everyone about travel, and she was going to be going on a trip, and so she got it.
Pretty much everyone I know who's traveling is getting it, except for very few people who are very radical like myself. But
you are pretty radical. I guess I'm somewhat radical. I'm just a question motives of people.
You know. Well, I have news for you. I don't think it's people.
Okay, talk to me.
I don't think it's people. This is the scary part. I have a guy, check this out. Do your little background check on this. This will trip your mind, man. I got a guy coming to my office right now. His name is Sean David Morton. Okay. He wrote a book called The Sands of Time. It's all about Area 51. You know Area 51?
Oh, yeah.
Well, you know, the people behind that are working with off-planet entities, let's say, okay? And it's just my belief. I don't know. I don't have any evidence whatsoever, but I really believe that this is, you know, they say as above, so below. That's all we need to say from there, right? As above, so below. Yeah. So
as within, so without.
Yeah. So,
well, it's a war. I don't know exactly what's going to happen. I pray, like, you know, the Johnson & Johnson one was not an mRNA version, but it was causing blood clots or something. And
well, they're all, anything in my belief system, anything you put into your sacred temple that's not from nature, it's not natural. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
This planet is a natural living organism, and then this off-planet kind of AI, you know, whatever, lizard consciousness, making all these weird concoctions that are not natural, and then injecting them into like biologic beings like us. It's like, Who does shit like that? That's not normal.
Yeah, especially, I mean, I guess this whole episode might get banned or whatever, but I don't, because you can't talk about these things. That's the scariest thing about everything is the silencing and the censoring. And it's like, well, wait a minute, there's other options. You know, Joe Rogan he came out and said he had COVID, and I'm pretty sure he didn't get the vaccine. He hasn't said yes or no, which makes me think no. And
I heard he said he didn't get it.
Not right.
Yeah, and he said he got COVID but barely had any symptoms whatsoever. And that guy is the ultimate biohacker, like to the nth degree. I mean, he recently just did a 20-minute ice bath. I don't know if you saw that. I don't watch I watched like probably 1 in 10 episodes now, where I used to listen to every single one, but I did catch that one where, because the guy he went on with, he's I forget his name, but he was saying how he got the vaccine and got some neck pain and whatnot, but at the beginning of the podcast, like you said, Rogan said he just did 20 minutes and he was still shivering and stuff. I watched him. He actually recorded it on Instagram. I watched him do it. It was the most hilarious thing, because the guy has like zero experience. He's just a ballsy guy, and he's like freaking out the entire time. It was like so funny. I was like laughing.
I have to watch that then. Okay, because I assumed he stood there like a monk, you know.
No, he was completely out of his body. It was hilarious.
I'm gonna go back and watch that. I'm so fascinated with the ice going forward. I really today I did it and I got in, and every time I get in, it's still that quick shock, but and I'll just breathe, and then within a short period, a minute, maybe 30 seconds, I start feeling that warm wash over me a little bit.
Well, you know what happens if you don't move? This is a subtle kind of refinement. But if you sit still in the ice, in the water, you'll build a layer of heat around your skin because your body heat, right? That'll start to heat up the water. So what you have to do is move around, get that water circulating, and then you get another rush, like a second rush of cold.
Yeah, I know what that is. Yeah, because I try to stay as still as possible. Like, don't move.
No, you should move. Actually, you should move.
Okay.
You need to challenge yourself, push yourself.
I agree. I agree with that. I when I feel I'm like, okay, I feel it's too easy right now. I'll and if you can get it up under your arms or whatever, that's like so cold for whatever reason.
Well, you have more nerves. There's, the nerve endings are the tips of the fingers, your feet. And you have the brachial plexus coming underneath your arms too. So,
do you put your hands in or out of the water?
I put them in.
Yeah, I put them in too. But I've heard if you put them out, it's easier. But I don't necessarily.
Well, it is easier. When I first did my first ice bath, I had zero instruction. I just got in and I put my hands in, and immediately I was like, "Oh my God, what the fuck?" And the guy said, "Take your hands out." I'm like, "Oh, okay." And I was able to go for like 7 minutes on my first bath. But I wouldn't recommend that for anyone, because, you have to build up your mitochondria so you can withstand the cold. The more you do it, you grow they call it brown fat, which is mitochondrial rich fat, which can heat your body up quicker.
Man, the fact that you do 32 degrees is insane to me.
Yeah, well, that's what Wim Hof does.
I know, and I feel like I just need to. I'll get there.
Okay, you know what? I got a little hack for you. There's always little tweaks you can do that make it so it's easy. Okay, and I'll tell you right now. And this is something that Wim Hof shared with Jordan Peterson. Do you know Jordan Peterson?
I love Jordan Peterson.
So by the way, I would highly recommend you watch that podcast, because it was amazing.
Wow.
It was him and Wim Hof, and Jordan Peterson had started the breathing, but he hadn't really figured out the cold. And Wim Hof said, "Listen, forget about the cold shower, because it's too hard, because the guy lives in Canada. It's really cold water." He said, "Okay, just take your hands, put them in ice water.
Okay.
Just your hands. And then, build your time in the ice water with your hands.
Okay.
Because it's easy, because you're not getting your whole body, right? And he said if you can get up to 2 minutes, just your hands, it's activating your hypothalamus. So you're going to get a neurologic shift in your brain in 2 minutes.
Whoa.
With your hands. Right. And then because truly the hardest part about an ice bath is your hands. That's the hardest part. Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. I'm definitely okay. I love that. That would be like an icebreaker, so to speak.
Oh yeah, and anyone can do it. Literally anyone can do it. And you can start with 30 seconds, and then just every day increase your time until you get to 2 minutes.
Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna do that, and because I want to get my whole body in there, but I'll start with.
Oh yeah, you will. I trained this one guy. It was so funny. We did a group training one day, right? And this one guy came and he got in, like everyone did like 2-3 minutes, right? This guy got in, he couldn't do more than 15 seconds. He just jumped out, but he was challenged by the experience, right?
Yeah.
So he kept at it, he kept doing it. And now he goes up to Norway and swims in frozen lakes. Like he's next level, dude. Next level. My point is, no matter where you're at, if you have a drive to do it, you'll break through it easily. Yeah,
I'm very competitive, and I know. And actually, I went to like a men's retreat recently, and we did a group ice bath, and I got in there. There was ice in there. I don't know what the temperature was, but I just made sure I wasn't the first one to get out. And then as soon as one other guy got out, I was like, okay, I'm good. But then everyone else stayed in for like 10 more minutes, and then I was like, "Oh man, I should have just stayed there." But like you said, about that one guy, at 15 seconds, I think.
And he was like the most freaked out of all the people that I had done it. I mean, the look on his face, man, sheer terror. I was like, "Whoa!" But now he's like, "Yeah, go ahead."
People wouldn't do that, and maybe like my wife won't do it. Does your wife do it?
Yeah, she does. My wife's, the reason she's married to me, because she's just as crazy as me.
Yeah. She likes to do all those tricks.
She doesn't go as long as I do, but she's pushed herself to the point where she ended up with pneumonia, which I don't recommend people do, but she did 11 minutes one time, and she doesn't have that good of lungs, and she ended up with pneumonia.
Wow. Okay. So and I want to talk about that, because sometimes if you're feeling weak and maybe you didn't get a good night's sleep and you're run down, I feel like don't get in the ice bath.
No. If I feel like I'm sick at all, I stay away from the ice. I stay away from it. Yeah,
you need that, but extra energy or whatever to make sure you don't, because it could push you into a pneumonia.
Yeah, and I've seen that with people who haven't trained properly. They'll do even just 2 minutes, and they'll end up with pneumonia the next day. So you really have to respect it and train properly. And I think, to me, the bigger thing is the breathing. If you actually have the breathing pattern down, you won't get sick, because it keeps your immune system strong.
And you don't do Wim Hof in the ice?
No, not the breathing part. I just, you can do long, slow breathing, but you don't want to do the Wim Hof breathing in ice, because a few people have actually died. Because if you do the breath hold and pass out, you're dead.
And I've been in the water, not necessarily in the ice bath, but in just a bath, and I'll do the Wim Hof, and then the DMT starts squirting, and you feel like you might faint or pass out. So I have to kind of hold on, and I hope I don't slip under.
Right. Well, there's people who've done it who are just not experienced, and they ended up dying. It happened with a couple people.
So that happened. I was going to say that happens to you too. When you might be doing the Wim Hof, you're in your chair, and you kind of have to run.
Well, I do it laying down. I don't. When I do the breathing, I'm laying on my back, because I don't want to pass out, or fall over or whatever,
See, I've never done it laying down, because I've tried it, but I feel like I just get a better, I'm more comfortable, I guess, and slightly tilted back, Like
sometimes I'll do it like, you know, where I do like a yoga move, like.
Yes.
But my more recent thing I'm doing, and we got to wrap it up soon.
Yes, sir.
My wife just. But
1 minute.
The more recent thing that I'm doing, and I kind of discovered, is this method, ancient Chinese method called Lojin, which means stretching. So it's a form of like yogic stretching, and you're in the stretch while you're doing the breathing. So it's a special table. It looks like this. Like there's a flat part like you lay on, and then there's a plank that goes like this. So one leg goes up and one leg goes down, and you put a weight on your leg here and a weight up here, and then you strap your leg to the plank, right? So you're really doing like the splits.
Nice.
You're doing like a splits, but then you're laying flat on your back.
Interesting.
And then you have your arms above your head, and then I do the breathing while I'm laying in that thing.
Wow.
And it's next level. It's next level. You start to feel like, you literally feel like you're disappearing. It's so freaking cool.
We'll have to look that one up too. And we're going to wrap it up.
Yeah.
I did, but like to piggyback on that, Russell Brand had a video come out recently. It was about Wim Hof, but it was this other lady. And she says, like, when you're doing the in, you like look up and go like that. Yeah. And you look up during the breathe in, but then on the hold, you exhale. And then you, on the hold, you do like a little, you hit
tapping.
Tapping.
Oh, yeah.
And that kicks it in a little bit too.
Oh, I had a friend who did that to me one time. We weren't doing Wim Hof, we were just doing breathing. Yeah. And he had me, he exactly did what you're saying. And you sit up and he was tapping me like this. And literally you leave your body. It's like that. You're out of your body.
Very trippy.
It's
cool.
Trippy.
And a very great conversation once again with Dr. Har Hari. Thank you so much for coming on. I think we were going to talk about some yoga and stuff. We didn't quite get into it, but that's what I wanted to talk to you about, all those things. So thank you for humoring me and enlightening us all with your wisdom.
No problem.
You're a light to the world. You guys definitely check him out, Har Hari, Dr. Har Hari. We'll have a link in the description.
Yeah.
Thank you everyone for coming on. Thank you. Any final thoughts?
Just hang in there, baby. Hang in there.
Perfect. That's perfect. We're gonna hang in there. All right, guys. Okay. Thank you, Doctor. We'll see you.
Nice talking to you.
You too. We'll see you next year.
Take care.
All right.